we're 3 years in and our friendship is blossoming as well as our team, not just like we don't argue.
Slight lie there from Annie, because she was off last week and her mum was in town and she was replying to client emails, and I had to message her on WhatsApp and say, get off your emails, you saddo. I struggle when Annie goes on holiday, but she needs to go on holiday.
We both struggle.
I've always struggled with this sort of manager, sort of employee hierarchy kind of thing, which I just don't like. I'm really uncomfortable with, and I've never really...
We have to do everything ourselves. Like, our clients rely on us. It's not like working for a big corporation where you can go on holiday, the emails then bounce to all the different teams. We only have each other.
And would you say that maybe financial planning roles have changed for women over that time?
And when she took maternity, her entire business book was taken from her and given to another advisor.
Wow.
And I find that sad.
You have to be thick-skinned, because in any industry, especially in the Middle East, you do have to be able to take criticism.
Your like working relationships just seem so unique. Obviously, there are teams that work very closely together in the office, but you guys really are friends. So, Michaela and Annie, welcome to the Hoxton Life podcast. I'm so excited to have you guys here. Or Annie, I'm happy to have you back. I know you had your own podcast episode before, but Michaela, it's great to have you on.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, how are you guys doing today?
Fine, yeah, good, thank you.
Good. I know, obviously, Annie, we've spoken about your career before, but I think it'd be good to just start with who you guys are, what you do at Hoxton Wealth.
Yeah, I'm a Senior Financial Advisor with Hoxton. I've been with Hoxton since the business started, I think a couple of months in. I've been in the industry for 17 years now. So mainly in the GCC. I've done 5 years in Qatar, and then back here again.
Great.
Yeah.
And Annie, maybe just explain how you kind of work with Michaela or how you support each other.
Yeah, so I'm Michaela's paraplanner / client servicing. So work alongside to help with reports and dealing with clients day to day, fact finds, meetings like that, and making sure everyone is happy and we know what we're doing for the day.
Great, amazing. And I know a little bit about your story. But Michaela, obviously you've been kind of working in this industry for a long time. You've got a really impressive career behind you. I'd love to hear about your beginnings and how you kind of got started in this profession, how you got started in financial planning.
Yeah, I moved to the Middle East at 19. Started as a coordinator, so coordinating meetings for an advisor. And then I suppose I was doing that for about 4 or 5 years, and then I moved on to managing a team of coordinators, and had no real sort of desire to be an advisor, if I'm honest, because I was early 20s. And I think back then, I don't know, I think the industry was a bit different, or maybe the world was a bit different. And I thought, who wants to take advice from, someone, a female in their early 20s in the Middle East? You're dealing with, not to generalise, but a lot of the guys back then were working in oil and gas. It was predominantly male clients. So I was kind of happy, I think, for a while. And it was Chris Ball who, I suppose, pressurised me a bit to step up, but I'm glad he did. So, yeah, I worked with him in Qatar. He was my manager. Yeah, kind of just haven't looked back since.
Yeah, okay. And when you started, so obviously you were quite young, would you say there was any kind of personality traits that drove you into this profession that made you interested in financial planning?
I don't think so. I hadn't really thought that this was the career path I wanted to go down, to be honest. I didn't know a huge deal about it. And I think I'm from a background that, from parents that didn't have a financial planner, didn't need one. It wasn't something that I wanted to get into. I think it was something that naturally I fell into. I worked with a few friends before in the UK that had moved over here. I hadn't been here before. I went to Heathrow to an open day, applied for the job, and a month later was living here. So I suppose I accidentally fell into it, but absolutely love it.
Yeah, well. And how did you guys come to work together? Like, how did your partnership kind of form?
I suppose Annie probably won't mind me mentioning that she was working with within another team before for, was it about 6 months or so? But hated it.
Yeah.
If we're being honest. And we had a chat, I think, that week. I think someone might have mentioned it. And I quickly learnt that, you know, Annie's incredible. I think as anyone that's worked with her or close to her in the office, and to lose her would have been a great shame as a, you know, from a company perspective. So yeah, has stayed, and it's been 3 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm kind of glad that I managed to pinch her from someone else.
And so obviously you've mentioned that Annie's been a great addition to your team. What impact has that had on your team as a whole? You know, you guys are kind of a dynamic duo in the office. I don't think I've seen another team that kind of works like you. What impact has Annie's like paraplanning skills, and how does she support your team?
Oh, immensely. I couldn't go on holiday without her. She switched my emails off the week I was getting married because I think in this industry, when you're on holiday, you kind of tap in and out of things, but I can trust Annie with my entire business book. And great asset. I struggle when Annie goes on holiday, but she needs to go on holiday.
We both struggle when each other's on holiday.
What are you up to? So yeah, I mean, day to day, even as, you know, far as sort of, you know, doing my role when I'm off as well, and liaising with clients. Every single one of my clients know Annie and trusts her with that.
Amazing. And Annie, how has it impacted your career? You know, you obviously started out, you weren't too sure if it was the right role for you, the right career. So how did joining Michaela's team change things for you?
I've become a lot more confident. I have a lot more self-worth, I think, for who I am every day, because Michaela instills that in me. Like, she's an extremely confident, resilient woman. And that, for me to be able to watch that and learn from that, has been a massive impact on my career. Even sitting here doing this with you today, I wouldn't have the confidence to be able to do this 3 years ago. I would have been maybe more shy, but watching how Michaela comes across to people, individuals that we work with and her clients, is a massive inspiration to me, and why she's become not just like a mentor and a manager, but also my friend. And I think that helps our day to day
100%.
massively.
Yeah.
Like,
we
can rely on each other
as well outside of
100%.
work. Annie came to our wedding. Annie's coming for Christmas dinner with her partner, Charlie. It's just, I think if you don't have that, you struggle a lot, don't you? And I think I've always struggled with this sort of manager, sort of employee hierarchy kind of thing, which I just don't like. I'm really uncomfortable with. And I've never really, I suppose, you know, everyone in the team, you know, who's sort of come and gone has always been sort of, you know, friends as well. But that really helps, doesn't it? I think
100% day to day, like, and also to have like to know to switch off. Like, we both make each other switch off. Like, after 6 o'clock in the evening, like, we do generally stop talking about work and we get back to our social life. Like, we both have our families, our dogs that we're both obsessed with, and those bits and pieces that really help us in the day-to-day of work as well, because we know we can understand each other. So in this industry that we work in, specifically with like having your own business book, we have to do everything ourselves. Like, our clients rely on us. It's not like working for a big corporation where you can go on holiday, the emails then bounce to all the different teams. We only have each other. So it's very important to have such a good friendship and understand maybe when we're having a bad day, or even a day where we can't really get our brains together and can't formulate an email, and I can call and say, help me. We are very good at bouncing off each other, which massively helps day to day, year on year. Like, we're 3 years in and our friendship is blossoming, as well as our team, not just like we don't argue. And that, I think, is an important dynamic with each other, especially in a working relationship.
That's amazing.
Slight lie there from Annie, because she was off last week and her mum was in town and she was replying to client emails, and I had to message her on WhatsApp and say, get off your emails, you saddo.
It's an addiction.
No, but it's good that you guys support each other like that. I feel like it is really important, especially for a long-term, you know, working relationship. Yeah. If you want it to be sustainable, you have to have that level of understanding with each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Annie, would you say there's been maybe like a piece of advice or any guidance that you've gotten from Michaela over the past 3 years you've been working together that's kind of stuck with you?
One piece of advice is to be resilient and to be strong-minded and willed and to stick to who you are as a person, because Michaela always has been very honest, she's confident and very resilient, because it is difficult day to day sometimes being in the Middle East on your own from the age of 19 years old. So to be able to do that, maintain friendships, relationships and maintain a really good business book has been for me something like advice-wise I've stuck to. Like I don't take things to heart and I'm thick-skinned, because you are busy and sometimes the day-to-day can just go and you can't be sensitive. Oh, she didn't say please at the end of a sentence. So that is, I think, really important. And then guidance-wise, watching her have meetings with clients and watching how she presents herself at seminars and networking events, it really helps you grow. Even how I put myself forward now, I think I've grown from when I moved here 3.5 years ago to who I am now. Like I've grown individually. So yeah, definitely.
Amazing. I mean, I can tell that Michaela's been a huge part of your kind of development here, personally and professionally. Like, it seems like you've grown a lot since you've been in Dubai and obviously been working with Michaela.
Yeah.
Michaela, when you started working with Annie, was mentorship always kind of part of the plan? Were you just looking for someone to do the job of a paraplanner, or did you always have in mind, okay, I want someone who I can help grow and, you know, help develop?
Yeah, I don't think I thought, really. I needed a paraplanner and a good one, and hadn't really considered sort of mentoring. And I think, you know, a couple of people that I've had in the team have sort of then gone on to progress into other roles. So I think mentorship just kind of comes naturally. I'm sure it does, maybe to me, but to most people, it probably does. So I wasn't looking for that in particular, but I think it's just a relationship that we have.
Yeah.
Puts it that way. And I enjoy it.
And is there anything that you think that Annie has, like traits or any skills that she has that you think have made her successful in this role? Is there anything you've noticed that even early on that you thought, maybe she would be, you know, a really good paraplanner? I can see her kind of developing in this role.
Don't say bossy.
Bossy. She's so intelligent. She's so clever. She's one of the best, I suppose, moments was passing her level 4 UK exams. And you're from a law background, something that Annie didn't want to actually go into, but she's super clever. So there's a lot of things that sometimes I don't know. And I say, what does this mean, or what should we do in this situation? But I think, back to that sort of resilient word is that, I didn't really notice that you were so shy before, because I suppose now it's kind of second nature, that I just think that you're really thick-skinned and resilient. And I think for a lot of females that work in the industry, you have to be.
Yeah, agree.
Otherwise, you'll be upset all the time.
Yeah.
And you won't enjoy it. And so I just think that, being resilient and super hardworking, to the point I have to tell her to stop.
I love that, though. You guys, I think you kind of match each other really well. Like, you're both very conversational, but you have that hardworking grit. I can see it in both of you. You're very, determined, very resilient. How has your relationship, your partnership changed over the past few years? I know obviously you were saying that you've become a lot more resilient, you've learned a lot from Michaela. Michaela, you said you've even learned a lot from Annie, but how has your relationship changed, if at all?
I don't know.
Friendship-wise, it's massively helped. I think being able to have normal day-to-day conversations is very important. Like, when you first start working together, you're still very much learning. It could be in any friendship, relationship, working together. I think you're learning. And we've both learned about each other, maybe our tics, maybe things that the way we like things to be done. Especially when Michaela's presenting or having client meetings, I'm always prepped. Like, she's prepped and ready, and I know how she likes things doing. And I know that we like to have a meeting before the meeting to ensure we're both on the same page. So learning our day-to-day routines, we're both extremely organised, love a spreadsheet. I think things like that has really helped us to get, to a better level, I suppose. Like, she doesn't need to always ask me for things, and vice versa. Like, we do just trust in each other, and trust is a massive thing, actually.
We've always been super organised. I don't think any of that has evolved. It's always just been a really high standard of like being organised, having like Excel and Mondays in our CRM system internally. So I think from a work level, nothing's really changed too much. It's been brilliant. But I suppose just on a personal level, and I think we get comments sometimes in the office, that really nice ones actually, that, God, you girls get on so well, and, you know, it's really nice to see, and, you know, building that relationship. But it's kind of just been consistent, hasn't it? I wouldn't say there's been a really big shift or change over the last 3 years.
Just a natural progression, really.
Yeah.
That's great. And could you share a moment where maybe working together kind of made all that difference? Say if you like overcame a challenge, or any milestones you kind of hit together that you maybe couldn't have done without the other person?
We've just come back from a trip to Australia. So we held 4 seminars in 4 cities. So that was the first for Hoxton as well, actually. I think it's not the first seminar, but the first sort of
big cluster.
Big cluster of seminars that they've done. So for me, I mean, pre-COVID, I was travelling every week, so I was never really home. Post, I think you get a bit lazy sometimes, and you rely on Teams and Zoom, and actually sometimes it's a bit more efficient rather than being on a plane. But actually, it's nice to go and see clients face to face, of course, around the world. So that was brilliant. And could I have done it on my own? Probably, but it would have been rubbish and lonely.
I couldn't have.
So we went to Singapore, and then we done Australia. So we done Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane and Perth and back. Wow. So we were away for 2.5 weeks. And I think that was a really big milestone, because I spoke at the events. I'm not a public speaker. I don't enjoy it. So for me personally, that was probably something I overcame. And Annie checked everyone in and spoke to every single person that attended, which for you, I think is not something, you know, it's not a natural, it's not a day-to-day thing. And I think it was, it's a long time to be away from our family. And I think sometimes you think, sometimes people may think that travelling is quite a luxury, and, you know, we stayed at lovely places, didn't we, and done lovely things. But we were doing our 9 till 5, as well as going on client lunches, dinners, doing evening seminars. So
and working evenings to try and match with the UK.
With the time zone as well.
Yeah, so it was busy.
Yeah, living out of a suitcase and, you know, calling room service does get a little bit boring after a while. But I'd say that was quite a big milestone, wasn't it?
Massive, yeah. It was an amazing experience.
Really great.
So glad that we added it to like what we've done as like a team. Yeah, because not many teams have actually gone and done that together. Yeah. So we were like the dynamic duo, as you said. And relying on each other. Like, for me, I've never done anything like that. So I did miss home maybe a little, but having Michaela, it like feels like home, like, you know, sit and watch movies together and had nice dinners together. It does definitely help. Like, I would struggle to have done 2 weeks in Australia, where it's quite far removed from the world, like especially even the UK. I couldn't have done that on my own. So grateful for her.
Amazing.
Likewise.
And so working as an all-female team, obviously women in any workplace, but especially in financial planning, where there aren't so many women working in this profession, obviously you have unique experiences, some good, some bad. What would you say is unique about your experience? Have you had any unique experiences working as women in this profession? And does it compare, or does it differ from working in other regions, maybe that you've worked in or you've heard about?
I've done 5 years in Qatar, I guess a little less liberal than the UAE. I can't think of a specific change. I went actually to a mall after work in a skirt suit and was refused entry to the mall. It was below my knee. But I think I didn't know many females that worked. So a lot of my friends were housewives. So it was a little bit different there and difficult, whereas my friends here work in fashion, in film, and some in construction. So I think it's different everywhere. And I think as the years go by, I think, you know, there's certainly a lot more, you know, women in business here. But I don't know if you've seen a shift in the last 3 years, certainly within our office. I think there's a huge amount more females.
There's lots of females now that I notice when I come into the office, which is, that would be the biggest change, is seeing more women maybe wanting to work differently, like compared to maybe 17 years ago. It was a very different time.
Yeah.
But now I suppose it's different and more women want to go into work maybe.
Yeah. And would you say that maybe financial planning roles have changed for women over that time? I mean, does the paraplanner role look the same as it did when you started out 17 years ago?
I don't think anything's changed. I just think maybe people's attitude towards it has changed, and it's maybe a bit more accessible, I think, now. So I don't think, it's not a male-only role. It is quite a male-dominated industry. I think we all know that. But I don't know what the shift's been. Maybe it's social media. So maybe it's sort of, seeing a lot more females that are in the financial industry online, sort of filter down, I suppose. But there hasn't been a significant sort of
change in the workplace.
I don't think.
Just more visible, I guess, to the general public.
More women wanting to maybe, she's doing it, I can do that too. It's a good career choice, especially where maybe it can be more flexible sometimes in working hours and bits and pieces like that, especially with what we do, with having, where you've worked so hard all those years to have your business book, you can be a little bit more flexible to suit your clients as well, which helps.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's a big need for female advisors in the industry. I think, men and women do prefer sometimes to deal with a female, whether that be, I don't know, because we might be more empathetic or listen, I don't know. And there are certainly, I've dealt with men that will not deal with a female, and that's fine too. I don't want to deal with people like that. But there's definitely a huge need. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So Annie, obviously mentorship and development are a big part of Hoxton Wealth and the training program here. How would you say that working with Michaela has helped support your development, personally and professionally? I know you said kind of the skills that you've learned from her. Is there any other examples that you can give that you think you've learned while you've been working with Michaela?
Michaela encourages me to stay on top of being educated, to stay on top of learning the finance changes every week, doesn't it, the rules? So making sure I stay up to date with rules and guidelines. And so being able to have the opportunity to be able to study, not just in my own time, also during my working day as well, because she knows that I might do better in the morning sometimes. So take an hour in the morning, especially when I'm near to my exam day. Being given that opportunity to upskill myself and educate myself is really important, and something that you make sure I do. I'm doing my Series 65 at the moment. Michaela encourages me to make sure that I take time to do that. She knows when I've got study time in, she knows she won't sit and buzz me constantly, because she knows it's my time to sit and do that, because it's beneficial to us as a team as well.
Amazing. I mean, clearly Michaela's been there through a lot of your milestones.
Yeah.
And obviously, Michaela, you're about to go through a big change of yourself, Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
How are you kind of preparing for this new chapter? You're about to have a baby. How is your team changing? Are you shifting more responsibility onto Annie? What does this transition kind of look like for you?
It's exciting, but actually quite nerve-wracking as well. I like control, and I've built a book, and I have a responsibility to my clients as well. But I have 100% trust in Annie. We have Jane as well, who's our administrator, who's brilliant to help with a lot of the tasks. So it's I will probably go to 4 to 6 weeks of completely being off, which is actually nice, because I've done a solid 20 plus years of work with no time off between jobs, and then I'll be back a couple of days a week for the next 6 weeks, and then back again full time. So I don't think I need to worry at all. Really. Right. And I have, great support from the management team at Hoxton too, and we have a great relationship. So, we don't really need to panic or worry too much about that. It's quite nice for me to I suppose, work out what I'm doing with management as well, rather than these are the rules, because there are certain set sort of maternity rules in place, as a country. But actually, the guys have been really accommodating and brilliant. So I've been able to sort of, work out what's best for us as a team. And I don't think it will be a huge challenge.
Yeah. And are there any things that you're doing to kind of prepare in terms of work and family? Obviously, this is going to be a new change. And I know that maternity policies aren't really the same here as they are in, say, the UK. Is there anything you've done to kind of prepare for your new change, your new life with work and family?
We tend to review clients every quarter. Some people don't really want to catch up that often anyway, probably sick of hearing from us. So we are actually at the moment going through a phase of reviewing every single client. So it's a busy time. And then again, in the new year or February, just before I head off to maternity. So when I'm back, that will be when the next sort of client review is ready. That being said, obviously clients, don't hold out 3 months to speak to us. So if they need anything, they have Annie and as I said, we've got our senior management team that I've worked with, some of those people for over a decade as well, and our friends, and have offered to sort of step in if anything's needed. So I think we've got all bases covered. I'm lucky I've got some help here at home as well, so I can come back into work quite quickly. But I speak to friends in the UK, maternity ranges, doesn't it? Maternity leave, around the world, and some people are off for 6 months, a year. But I don't think I could. I'm not sure what I'd do apart from being a mum, of course.
You've always watched your mum work as well, though, as well. So you're very used to that.
Absolutely. So I just think, it's kind of natural, I think, to get back into work as soon as I can, but still enjoy, obviously, the first sort of 4 to 6 weeks or so. But I did watch a podcast actually recently of someone in a similar position. She was UK based, and when she took maternity, her entire business book was taken from her and given to a client services team or to another advisor.
Wow.
And I find that sad. She had built, I can't remember how many years it was, but she'd built that, and she wasn't off for long. But that's something, that was I wouldn't say it was a worry of mine, because I don't think that would ever happen at Hoxton. Yeah. But I think it's, certainly something that I spoke to Chris and everyone about. And, they said that, they'll be as hands-on or off as I'd need, which is brilliant. So I've managed to sort of, with Annie and with Jane, is just sort of work out what I'm having off, when I'm coming back. Yeah. And it's, kind of like your own business, isn't it, really, in a sense?
Exactly.
So you can't be off for too long, of course, because, you need to get back to work straight away. But, I thought that was quite brutal to hear. And I thought, oh, gosh, should I have any time off? But no, I've got an incredible support network from Hoxton and from Annie.
100%.
You've also set standards as well. Like, you've taught me for 3 years of what you expect, how to speak to clients, how to handle certain situations. And I think that's really, as well, like, nice for you to know that you can, like, you do trust me to do these things day to day, even with you here. Like, you don't need to get involved in every task, because you know that it will get done between me and Jane. And I think that's important. Like, although you say that you like control, she's very good at delegating as well, and saying, no, this is a good task for you to learn to do, for you to develop. So if I am even on holiday and somebody needs a task, like a client contacts us for support, Michaela knows that I can help to sort it. Plus, with the relationships that we have in the office with everyone, you're never going to be left to your own devices. Like, you have so much support in the office that no one's going to say, no, sorry, that's not my book, we're not going to help you. Like, people are always willing to help.
100%. I think it's also good that both of you are kind of equally invested in your business. Like you said, this is kind of like your own business. You work as a team very closely on this client book. So you're both, quite determined. You're both really focused on making sure that your clients have the your clients have the attention that they need.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're able to give each other that balance.
Yeah.
So
and we're prepared as well. Like,
yeah, I think it's a conversation we probably had early on. I think in the first sort of few weeks or first few months, actually, that this has always been my vision. I got married and wanted to start a family, and it's something that you have to be open and honest. In talking about. It's different for guys. You know,
women are really good at chatting about life plans, aren't we? Like we're good at saying I want children, I want to get married.
But for guys, things don't change. They might take a week or two off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's it's
like,
okay
I
for
want to
them.
be the nanny.
Yeah, it does look different for men and women, I think. But I think that what's good is that you've allowed each other that balance, especially here in Dubai. The work culture is so different to in the UK. I mean, I can attest to this myself. I'm not a financial planner, but the work culture coming here was very different to what it looked like when I was working in the UK.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you do to create that balance in your life? Making sure that you have that time out for yourselves, as well as each other? Yeah,
we switch off. We're very good at switching off. We don't email each other at 10 o'clock at night. Like we do have a group chat that we both make sure we mute during our holidays.
And then we have a personal, so
and then we have a personal,
separately.
so we separate. We have a work chat and our personal chat, and in the evenings we'll talk personally, and on the weekends, when I go round for Christmas Day, we're not going to be chatting about work. Like we have so much more to talk about, which is so nice.
Yeah, I agree. And I think we're both up early. Taking the dogs out, and I think the earlier you get up, the better. You start the day, and I think it's been known that I've sometimes worked, perhaps 7, 8 o'clock at night. I don't do a lot of that now, and neither do you. And I think if you can kind of work that full day, then to switch off. I don't really know what I do to switch off, really.
We work in Australia as well, so we're
early
birds. We like our evenings with our families, but then also in the mornings, I go and work at Michaela's sometimes in the week.
Thursday,
on a Thursday, and we'll work out together. Yeah. It's a
That's
great
amazing.
way of winding down and actually separating work and play as well.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Your like working relationship just seems so unique. Like obviously there are teams that work very closely together in the office, but I think this is something special where you guys have kind of transgressed past the mentor, the leader, and the student relationship. You guys really are friends. Coming over for Christmas and that extra support, even being able to message each other on weekends. I think it does make a difference in the way that you work with each other inside the office as well.
Oh yeah, huge respect for you and Michaela's family as well. Like not just like I get on with everyone, with her husband, her stepson, your mum, obsessed, and like you as well, like my partner, like they all get on so well. So like when we was in Australia, the boys went off for the day together.
They did, they went to a car museum.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we had a lot more fun than they did, but but it is lovely. It is really nice.
Yeah, that's great. Say if a young woman wanted to get into paraplanning, and she was interested in the profession, but she wasn't too sure if she'd be able to succeed, or she wasn't too sure how to go about it, what advice would you give her to kind of get into it? And what would you say they would need to be able to succeed in this kind of role?
I think it's really important to study and upskill yourself, first of all. And then secondly, you have to be thick-skinned, because in any industry, especially in the Middle East, you do have to be able to take criticism. And I think that is one thing that I'm really good at taking criticism. Like I do not mind people saying if I'm not doing something right. I want you to tell me that, because no one is perfect. And I think to be able to accept that you're not perfect and that you can learn is really, really important, especially in finance, where it is forever changing. Rules change, regulations change. You might have a bad day with clients because they might be having a bad day. So to be able to really get over that is so important. And I think that would be the biggest advice. I don't think you need to have necessarily done it before, because I think you can learn as long as you're ready to listen. You have to be able to listen and be moldable, I think, as well. Not think that, as I say, not be perfect, and you'll succeed really, really well.
Yeah. And equally, Michaela, like in this industry, obviously you've worked in this profession for a long period of time, almost 2 decades. How do you see the financial planning profession changing over the next 10 years? Do you see there being a lot of evolution, a lot of change?
For females or in general?
For females and in general, yeah.
I think social media, I think, is a huge one. Certainly 17 years ago, 2008, Facebook was just, I think, a thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Actually, show my age there. But I mean, there's so many podcasts, there's so many TikTok videos and Instagram videos. So I think a lot of things are going viral and online. So I think the online space is probably a huge one. So I think there's a huge amount of change that can come from that. There's also a huge amount of female-only podcasts on financial planning that are available that I always listen to, and I just think they're brilliant. They're so relatable as well as there's tons of podcasts and interviews and things that you can follow online. But I think that's probably where most financial advice is heading. With the app that we have at Hoxton as well, it just seems to be much more tech focused, I think now. We were working from paper fact find back in 2008. It wasn't really, there was no real sort of, there's LinkedIn and Facebook, but there weren't really a huge amount of sort of, there wasn't an ability to network or have an online presence too much.
Yeah.
So
interesting.
Yeah.
And then what's one thing, maybe for both of you, that you'd like to see improve in the financial planning profession over the next 10 years? Is there anything that you'd like to see changed, again, for women and in general?
I think with Hoxton, they offer really good flexibility. And I think I would like to see that more in other maybe businesses and not just in the financial industry, but in the in industries in general, is better flexibility. Not especially for women as well, where maybe they are planning on having a family and there aren't nerves of when you come back, like you said with the lady on the podcast, like coming back and having your book taken. A woman can do her job just as well with a child or without a child. Like, that's why Michaela maybe isn't so worried, because there is no difference to me. Nothing is going to change bar I get a little baby to play with,
Yeah.
And I think being able to offer women to say, like, I can do my job between 9 and 12. I'm going to have the afternoon maybe, and maybe I'll come back in the evening. Like, I don't think that there needs to be such strict structures to people's days. And I think that would be amazing to see more. And I think with what happened a few years ago with COVID and stuff, I think it did come in slowly.
Yeah.
But it is slowly being taken away again, I think. And you're seeing more, you have to be in 9 till 5, or you have to be in the office between this time. And although that's very good when you're up and coming and training, but when you're someone like Michaela, where you've done it for 19 years and you've worked hard and you've proved that you can do it, that flexibility it should just be offered. It should just be there, and it should be trusted to women or men as well.
Yeah, 100%. I think also, that flexibility lends itself to more opportunities. Like at Hoxton Wealth, obviously we're working in different time zones with different clients around the world. So being able to be flexible, it's not just good for people's personal lives in the office, but obviously it allows you to be able to speak to clients. It allows you to maybe upskill yourself on other jurisdictions. So, there's more to it than just...
Do a podcast in a day.
Exactly. Yeah. And Michaela, what's one thing that maybe you would change, looking forward in the financial planning profession?
I wouldn't say my answer would be too different to Annie's, really. I think flexibility is key. I think if you're experienced, I think if you're new to the field, you can always learn, right? I think you have to come in and be around other people, but also if there are some people in the office that will work a different shift pattern. So we have an office in the US, so people will come in the afternoon and work through to the evening or the early hours. Good for them, not for me. So I think flexibility is key. I think, I can't really pinpoint anything to change at Hoxton, because I think, we're really diverse and flexible. But as an industry, I think as a whole, we're bringing on a lot of a lot of new recruits and sort of positioning them in different, different areas of the business. And I think what we're doing is proving to be really good so far.
Amazing. That was great, guys. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
That was, it was really nice to see you guys, talking about your team. And I see you guys around the office and you both work really hard. So I think it was nice to share those insights and, a bit about yourselves with people. I think they'll find it really valuable. So thanks a lot.
I'm glad. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, same. Thank you.
Thank you.